Hello, beautiful sunshines. Welcome to Now That's Love.
With your favorite mother-daughter duo, Ashlyn and
Janae LaFleur, where you get to know thyself, love thyself, and become the best version of self.
because the greatest love story that you are ever going to tell is the one you create with yourself every day. Welcome, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about transitioning from 2024 and hopping in and transforming into 2025.
Yes, what do you want? And we have a 4-step process that will help you get there easier and happier. Even why do we sabotage? We have some key points there. So starting off, Ashlyn, what's number one?
So I actually did it last year. I'm about to be able to read it this year. Once the New Year's hits, I am going to be able to read it. But we're talking about writing a letter to yourself. Starting now and setting it as you're going to read it back to yourself at the end of 2025. So this letter just includes things that you want to achieve, things that are going on right now that might feel so high pressure that you're ready to step out of, talking to your future self in that positive manner. So writing this letter to your future self is a great way to reflect on where you are now and where you want to go. It doesn't need to be long or like fancy, just a nice brief letter to yourself, however long or short you want to make it. It's about connecting to your hopes, dreams, and intentions for 2025.
Yeah, and there's proven studies that when you write a letter to your future self, you really are accomplishing this. Like it's a believability. And when you read it, Ashlyn has written what, like several letters? You were
Yeah.
reading, like, was it
Oh,
back
yeah.
in 2017? And you wrote letters to your future self
Yeah,
and then you
I
read
actually wrote
them?
to my future self, and it was really kind of crazy because thank you for mentioning that. I forgot that we talked about this just a week ago. I wrote a letter to myself back in, oh my goodness, what was it? It was 2017, around there. And I literally wrote things to myself about just kind of predicting the future for myself and opening the letters, which I set the date for 2024, so I read it this year. And I was talking to myself like, I know you've probably experienced a death by this time. And as many of y'all know, I have experienced a deep, dark time period where I had to walk through that process of losing somebody. And there was many things that I predicted for myself to go through that I ended up walking through, good and bad. I even predicted the end of relationships. I predicted kids. I wrote plural kids in my letter, which I thought was so cool because I didn't write just kid or didn't even talk about kids. I knew I was going to have multiple, which now I have 2 kids in 2024.
Yeah, it was really emotional for her to read it. She was like, called me up, and I'm like, wow. I felt like when she was reading it to me, it was really her spirit self. It was her spirit that was writing the letter. And so, a tip for this writing the letter is I would say go into some breath work. You need to go into your inner self before you write it. Just breathing, getting into that state. It's not from your prefrontal cortex of like you're doing a checkoff list. It's more
Yeah.
of like, what does my soul want to tell me? What
Mhm.
do you want to experience? This is your lifetime. This
And
is the
it's
soul
wild too
essence. It's
because
eternity.
I could literally, as I was reading the letter, I could go back to that 19-year-old girl writing that letter. I knew exactly where I was sitting. I knew exactly what was going on during that time.
Yeah.
And a lot of things I thought were going on in my life where I was directed, I knew deep down it did not feel right. Like certain relationships I was in during that time, I would write about it, and I was just like, oh, like it felt off. I knew it wasn't my future. I felt like I was like forcing myself to write these things,
It sees
where,
your truth. Yeah.
but I knew the truth.
Yeah. Your soul will show you the truth, and it's written down. It's really, really neat to
It's
see.
also a powerful exercise for self-love as well.
Right.
It's
And
all
dream
about
big.
honoring where you're at now and imagining the person that you want to become. So, for example, in your letter, you might say something like, Dear future me, I'm proud of your courage you're showing to make bold changes. You've learned to trust yourself and stay grounded even through tough times.
Yeah.
That's just an example.
Yeah. So grab your journal, start it off, or grab your letter, piece of paper out of your journal and write
Yeah,
it, put it in an envelope, and you can put it at the end of your yearly journal if that's what you want. We
that's a
have
good idea. Which we have
so many
yearly
journals.
journals. Check out the transformation journals on
Yeah, our
Amazon.
journals are, there lots of them on our,
Links below. So number 2, now we're going to talk about creating real transformation in 2025. And we're not just talking about that one New Year's resolution where you're like, oh, I'm going to go on this diet and it'll only last a week. No, we're talking about really making life choices. So the first thing we want to emphasize is setting intentions instead of just rigid goals.
it's literally one day at a time with the intention of doing a little bit better, just 1% better, 1% more towards what you truly want. And you have to know what you truly want. And you also have to know deep within yourself that it's possible. It is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, people have proven over and over again what the impossible is now possible. So don't limit how amazingly big it is, but it's just that one little step each day. And I want to show an example of this. So I wanted to create my mornings to be different, not just waking up with, oh, it's an amazing morning and the mirror work. Those were great steps, but I wanted it to be like really grounded. And so I just started with getting on my knees and doing like a breath work energy of just like opening myself to love. I am fully open to give and receive love today. And I would do it 3 times. And then I would just go into a prayer. No matter what, I was giving 5 minutes to my intentions for the day, that I may be able to love and reach as many people as possible, serve from my heart, whatever you want to say. That set the path for my day to start to be just so much more amazing and beautiful, because that was
Yeah.
my intention. And now it's become such a habit that now I've added much more to things. Like it just became, okay, well, first it was waking up this way in the morning, then it went to the mirror, then it went to the prayer, then it went to leaving in the car with my breath work and focus of my day. It builds upon each other. And so just start with one thing, just one little thing, because your mind's not going to freak out about it. It wants to do this sabotaging thing of like, wait, we want you to be in zombie mode. No, we want you to just be in autopilot. That's how we, keep as much energy as we possibly can. So just adding a little something.
And so instead of just saying like, I just want to get fit, really go into depth of what you want and really have intention behind it. So I intend to honor my body with regular movement and nourishing food. The way that you're focusing on how you want to feel throughout the process, not just reaching a destination. And I think throughout my life, I've always felt like there's a destination. I remember working out and being like, yeah, I'm going to reach this destination. And then I would kind of reach the destination, but there's always more that you're wanting to obtain, even in the spiritual community. You start working on the dark shadow work, and then you're like hopping into compassion and all these different things. There's no destination. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. And also, I feel like another way you could say it is, if you want to read more books, start with just 10 minutes a day. Like you mentioned, it doesn't need to be a full-fledged 100%, because then you're gonna exhaust yourself. Just do 10 minutes a day. Start with, and even if with exercising, start with even 10 to 15 minutes a day. And I think for me, postpartum, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to start working out. I want to start getting my body back. But I'm like, okay, even just going outside with my kids for a 15-minute walk, that's getting my body into that tempo of, okay, she's moving now, like she's ready to get going.
Yes.
And those habits will eventually lead to big results by the end of 2025. So
So
don't
the
take out the whole
winners.
chunk. Do measurable steps.
Yeah, that's leading into number 3, the Atomic Habits book, which is such a game changer. If you haven't read the book, Atomic Habits really tells a lot of stories about healing and just doing that little baby step. And as a coach, that's what I've taught, and that's what I've done with myself. It's just, you think of this big, humongous door, but it can still open with the smallest little hinges. So it's the little things that are going to open that door. You just one little thing at a time. And before the end of the year, maybe 6 months, for me, it was just little things. And sometimes when you're so focused on that, the reticular activating system is so focused there, your emotions are in it, you're manifesting this stuff within 24 hours, 3 days, 6 days. I'm like, oh my goodness. We've talked about before on other episodes, there have been times I've gotten to the following weekend and thought, just even emotionally or mentally, on things that used to maybe be triggers or different things, I would have to reintroduce myself because I had transformed so much. I'd gone so deep within. And it was like, well, all I had added was a 20-minute meditation of just like, thank you for creating miracles in my mind, that my mind is working with me and not against me. Like I don't have these thought processes. And I just would do that. And whatever was needing to be cleared was clearing up just naturally. My mind, I just call it my divine mind. So by the end of the week, here's a new little bit more of an identity, a little bit less of the dark shadow. But I also love the dark shadow, the yin to the yang. And I just created a journal that freaking rocks because of
it does.
The cover is pretty amazing. Inside, it's the little things. And Ashley and I have been truly walking this.
The last year, starting in January, we didn't even start our podcast yet. This was just all talk. And here we are with over 50 episodes.
Well, and honestly, with the meditations, we're at 89 with this video. We've both created over 20 publicized self-help journals, our shirts.
Yes, and mentioning our shirts.
Yeah, Percasa means the enlightened one, and it has Percasa on the shirt. This is one of the people are loving so much, and it comes in all different colors. The boho, beautiful, very feminine energy. This one, and Ashlyn's.
Mine says stop tripping on it. We designed these ourselves, so check out our Etsy shop with the link below. Also, our Amazon shop is linked below.
Yeah, they're just like empowering shirts, and Ashlyn's, hers is the overthinking mind, like stop tripping. Like it's the story.
Chill.
Yeah.
So people often resist change because it feels uncertain, just like it kind of felt uncertain for us in January last year. We were like, how do we do this? How do we do that? What are the steps to getting here or there? But that's where the magic really happens, I would like to say, with the uncertainty. I know it can be scary and just kind of feeling like you're walking through a forest and you're hearing like the wolves howling in the corner in the deep darks of the woods, and you're hearing a little bunny rabbit hop through, and you're like, oh my gosh, is that like a wolf coming to attack me? And in all reality, usually that wolf that we think is going to come and attack us is just a bunny rabbit. And it's not going to be that deep and dark and scary as you think it's going to be. So research from Psychology Today shows that people who embrace this uncertainty and change are more likely to experience personal growth.
Yeah.
So it's all about taking the risk and stepping outside of your comfort zone. And whether it's a friend, a coach, or even a community, share your goals and intentions with somebody you trust. Don't forget to revisit that letter with your future self too, as well, part of this accountability system. But with friends, I've talked about this before, the social reality effect and the positive fantasy trap. So the social reality effect is basically you tell your goals and you're telling them your intentions. And I know that we've all done this before. And you're so excited. And then you get home, or even a week later, that intention or goal that you've had, you're like, I don't really feel like I want to do it anymore. It just kind of like goes downhill. Either sometimes even with their negative words, maybe they've said, they can't picture that happening for you. And you just kind of let it slide down. Also with the positive fantasy trap, it's making your goals seem less appealing. And these are literal things that happen. I feel like it's happened to me plenty of times where I'm telling people, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this and this and this happening in my life. And sometimes there's somebody that's like, oh my gosh, like, how are you even going to obtain that? How are you going to get there? Because mentally, they've never seen that for themselves. And it's not a bad thing. They just can't see that for themselves. So they're projecting that onto you, not being able to see it for you. So just remind yourself that whenever you're talking about things, be careful who you're talking to. My mom and I have finally come to this fact in life where we're pretty much only telling each other things on a lot of things that we're doing in our business, because we will be so excited. And me and you understand, like, we can get there. We can obtain that
Have our
together.
vision.
And we have that same mental vision. People that don't share that with you, maybe just keep it to yourself. And also, just with these effects and just like the positive fantasy trip, those things can actually make you seem like you don't really need to do it anymore. So maybe just journal it, keep it to yourself, share it with somebody that's maybe can understand what you're talking about, but don't go and blab about, oh, and now I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to do this, and this is going to happen this year. Sometimes it's best just to keep it to yourself, because I mentioned this to my mom earlier about kind of dimming that light that you shine. Sometimes I feel like in my life, I've had situations where I'm like this beautiful lamp, like I always joke around that I was like the Christmas story, the Christmas story lamp, the lay,
The fragile.
fragile, and I'm like this bright shining light in the front of the house. But there's somebody that's either trying to break your lamp or put a huge shade over you, like, you know what, you're shining too bright. Here's your shade over your lamp, the cover. So don't let someone come and do that. Shine bright with anything.
Yeah, some people can feel threatened.
Mm-hmm.
That, if you're going to go to some place that's really like your dream is so big that they may lose you. They're not doing it intentionally. It is literally subconsciously that they'll put their doubts in, and more often than not, you will get sabotaged. So just keeping it special in your letter of like what you truly want to transform into your new identity. I think of ID, it's the inner knowing. It's done. I saw this the other day when I was thinking, like, what does my spirit want to experience this next year as my new identity? And when I got done writing it down, I saw the ID and it said, it's done. So you also imagine it as if it's not in this massive timeline. You see it, you've written it. Woo, I'm just falling all over. But the ID stands for it's done. You believing and all knowing that it's done. And another thing that was shown to me right after that was so within. So really going within, so within. And then it had a little dash to it. And it was like knowing. And so without is showing. So what you really truly believe, the all knowing within yourself, is what's showing up outside of you. So it was like this little rhyme that was shown to me in the shower, but it was like, so within, knowing. You have to know that first of all, this is possible, but believing in that it's already done.
Yeah.
Because your mind pathway and the energy system that's out there in the quantum field, you've visualized it. Now it's in your quantum sphere of all your energy around you. And so it's going to find the least resistant path. And if we're telling things and the doubts coming in, the little bit of subconscious, or maybe you have a lot of subconsciously rooted things that are limiting beliefs that are happening, they're just feeding into that. And your reticular activating system is saying, oh, there you go. They're even proving it. It's not possible. Yeah. And they're not trying to sabotage you. I really don't believe most people are not purposely trying to sabotage you.
I agree.
They just do it.
And there is you out there with your goal already obtaining it. And I know that's kind of hard to put into words, but
it's true.
It's true.
You've already done it. It's already been done.
You've already done it. And if I think like that, future me out there has already done this, that, or that in my goal.
Right. If you can visualize it, you've already seen it, especially if you dream it. It's your spirit is asking, like, listen, I'm showing you this is possible. You've dreamt it, this big, beautiful home, or this career, whatever it is, or this relationship. I'm showing you the truthfulness when you were down in theta state of what I would like to experience in life. So don't deny your spirit of those experiences just because you're in this body form and you have all these little roots going down in your brain. Go in and do the reprogramming of your mind, but write it down. And it's as if it's a contract to yourself. Like, I'm going to show up for myself. Here's my letter. And it's my responsibility.
I think accountability coaches as well help out with that. So our course that we're creating will be able to hold you accountable to those goals that you want to obtain for 2025. So I just wanted to add that in.
Your intentions.
Coaches are very important with helping you set those intentions and goals and keeping you motivated through
Yeah,
that
because
process.
they're going to be your biggest cheerleader. They're going to be
Yeah.
the one that's giving you the support system and they believe in you. That's
Yeah.
part of being a really good coach is that
Mhm.
when you're having your own self doubts and everything, they're there to step in and be like, wait. And that is the person that I would personally would share my goals with and
Yeah.
be like,
It was,
you've got my back when I'm feeling
and
this
number
way.
4 is growth mindset. So Carol Dweck's research shows that people who believe they can develop their abilities and learn from their mistakes are more likely to succeed. It's all about shifting your mindset to one of growth and possibility.
Yeah. And when you're in this growth mindset, it's the awareness of your thoughts and the story you're telling yourself. Anything's possible. And with the growth mindset, when I'm coaching a lot of different individuals, I say this to myself on a daily basis, probably 20 times, things will come up and the programming of the mind when something like lack or just not believing in something like a self-doubt thing will come up and I'm aware of it. Wow, it's a story you're going to tell yourself. You literally are creating this. And so the growth mindset is literally what are you placing in your day? What are you placing in your life that's helping you grow? That's where you're going to get to where you're going. Otherwise, you kind of stay stagnant and just in that comfortable average form. And your spirit, every single spirit on this earth, I truly believe wants to keep on evolving into the grandest
100%.
evolution of their spiritual self, and which takes the body and the mind and this everything along with it. And that's why we'll start to feel anxious and wanting to almost like run because our spirit's like, come on, get up. Why do you keep on doing the same things? Like, let's go, get up. And just, even if it's just, you can get up and do breath work. You can get up and do just movement of something because your spirit's like, come back into me and listen.
Don't hop
It
on
just
that
wants
phone
to give
first
us,
thing in the morning.
yeah, it wants to give us the internal wisdom that's all knowing. And we live in a society that's constantly distracting. It's unreal. Anywhere we go, seriously, whether it's traffic, inside a gym, there's TVs now, there's your phone that's in front of you, there's people walking by, the grocery store. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
overload compared to
Mhm.
what it was like 20, 30 years ago. And to slow it down. I love that. One thing I have been implementing, especially when I go to sleep at night, is like taking myself into the blackness of the void. And so
Mhm.
I will say, like, my intention is to be shown the truth of all things and what my spirit would like to create and clarity in the night. Then I like to go into this black void. I close my eyes and I just picture that there's this black void and I say, is there anything you want to show me at this time? Or speak to me, and I see things. So
And listen to that intuition. That intuition
yeah,
that you talked about
because
beforehand.
you'll have the most beautiful
It'll guide you.
things.
Mhm.
You have like the most amazing guides. Let's say you're going up into the Amazon mountains and you're all by yourself and you're like, where do I go? That's kind of like where we're taking ourselves each and every single day. If we're just, we would not know, we'd probably be bitten by 20 different animals and spiders. So if we have the intention that we're guided by our spirit every single day and we're tapping in, even if it's 1 minute here, 30 seconds there, it starts to become such a natural state
Mhm.
that you feel like you have seriously your best friend talking to you all day long. And you can talk to your best friend. It's your spirit. And
And whenever you're in denial of certain things, I usually go back to how I felt in the moment of whenever I was doing those things. Like whenever I have in denial of writing books or podcast or anything that I've ever aimed for, even in school, I'm like, oh my gosh, that self doubt starts kicking in. And it's a very real thing of, oh, who am I to do this? Who am I to be out in this world doing it? But remember, like, there is over 20 bread companies in the aisle of bread. What if one of them was like, you know what, who am I to go and make bread? You know? And I think about that often, or even just milk, whipped cream. You go in the aisles and there's different cookies. Look at all the cereals. There was somebody out there that created their own unique thing of like, oh, I can make it better, or maybe I can add something to it. Not even so much better. Remember that you bring your own characteristics to this world. And when you have that self doubt come in, you are important. You do add value to things. And I had to remind myself that who am I to start a podcast? There's thousands of podcasts out there. Whenever you have that feeling in your gut, oh my gosh, this is what I'm meant to do. This is where I'm meant to be. Follow that and keep going with it. And like I mentioned in the very beginning, it's not so much of the destination. It's just that gut feeling leading you to where you need to be. And there's that vision of you out there already obtaining what you want.
Yeah, you're going to either walk in this life in love and joy, or you're going to walk in fear. It's really always based in love or fear. So anytime a thought comes up, just ask yourself in that moment, like, why am I telling myself this story? I'm just curious. Why it's not true? Because you just know it's not true. If it is like seriously holding you back from your dreams, right then and there, really, I take emotion to it and I say, wait, that is so not true. When you're consistently doing that, your mind literally dissolves these self doubts, these old beliefs. It's like, wow, she's told me over and over again that she doesn't believe in this. It might have been programmed, but it's deleted. It's not there anymore. You've really got the self awareness in your intentions and what you truly want all the time during the day. I'm not kidding. It's all the time. I'm like, oh, is this a story you're going to tell yourself? I start laughing a lot. So I'm like, wow, that was a pretty good one, Janae.
Self-talk is so important. That's something I really realized this year, for sure.
Oh, that was probably one of my biggest things. That we've grown through it for the last 4 years, big time.
For sure.
And we've gotten through several different little dark nights of the soul. It's impossible to be wealthy, or I'm never going to be in a relationship. Sit back with that story. Sit back with that story and write the opposite in your letter. Write the opposite. That's how easy it is. Here's the story.
In my self-love journal, I have that, by the way.
Right. She has that. So write the opposite and then walking to that. You've got to start visualizing something different. If the biggest thing is what's happened in this past year is all of our creation. It's all our creation, and we're responsible for how we react to things. And one of the things I love, this mantra, it says, I'm ready for whatever is next. Just say that to yourself. Like, I'm ready. Your spirit is always ready for whatever is next. It's the egoic mind that's going to react a certain way. And you can always choose in the moment, be like, you know what, actually, I love rainy days. Actually, I am wealthy. Just change it up. The more consistent you are at this, the more your brain just starts really working for you.
I have so much proof. And one of the things that I was talking to you about this earlier, I thought was, I've literally seen my words and my self-talk bring it into action. And I kept, a couple years ago, I was like, wow, I don't have a lot of friends, or my relationships aren't that deep. I was telling myself these things. So what was I expecting? You know? So I finally started rewiring my brain, saying, you know what, my friends are so amazing. I'm so grateful for them. And I was even telling myself, I'm a really good friend. Like, I put so much effort into things. I'm really thoughtful. You know, just the whatever you really want to have come back to you, say these things. I actually said this in the mirror, and then practically all my friends messaged me that day. One of my friends was like, wow, you're a really amazing friend. And whenever I hear these things, I just start tearing up, because it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm seeing this really come to fruition and happening in my life in real time. I had one of my friends even just say, I love you. Thank you so much for being part of my life. Love you, bestie. I have so much gratitude for you in my life. I appreciate our friendship. Just all these little things. And I even had just random people in my life just send me hearts, or just like a gift. I called you that day and I was like, it's happening. It's happening. Everything that I've said, it's really coming to fruition. And I really do have such amazing friends. And I saw it constantly with Jerome, you know, because Jerome and I are always sharing each other's gratitude. I'm so proud of you. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that. We're always sharing our gratitude. And our relationship has just always flowed in that constant gratitude and appreciation.
And what you pour into, you get back.
So I did that with my friends, and boom, proof again. And now we're doing it with Now That's Love, and we're getting tenfold back. So it's amazing.
Right. And a voice just came into my head. It was beautiful. What story are you buying into?
Mm-hmm.
Because know that you're always paying for it.
Yeah.
Mic drop. I'm just kidding.
Seriously.
Like, my spirit just came in and said,
True.
What story are you buying into? Really, what story are you listening to? Like, are you accepting your friend's story and now it's your truth because she thinks this way or that way, or your father's or whatever, because you're the one that's paying for it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it abundant in what you're paying for, or is it completely taking you out energetically and physically and mentally, emotionally? So just know that we are the story we tell ourselves. And so you're going to create this most beautiful journal entry, and I do a journal entry. Ashlyn does a
Yeah, we will
letter.
too. On my next, in our next podcast, I actually will have the physical book with me, and I'm so excited to
Yeah.
share it. I literally hand created every single page. I have tips and activities and all these little things it's over 200 pages.
Yeah.
So it took me at least 3 months to fully officially create and perfect. And I'll be sharing that with you guys in the
Yeah,
next.
it'll be down on the link below. So when you find this, we have our links that are
Yeah.
published. I have a self-reflection, get to know thyself, about 5 journals, and I actually did one for men now. I did one because I had some men asking for me to produce some
Yeah.
journals for them, create some journals for them. So yeah,
I
we'll
also
have them in our link.
a transformation journal that I am actually posting today. So, like you said, by the time that this comes out, it'll be already officially out, and it's the
Yeah.
Rising Phoenix, and that is represents transformation. And I really love the Rising Phoenix because it's just like that fire, that rise, the coming out of like the ashes and being like, I'm here, bitches. Fly and go to where you feel like your heart is leading you, where your fire and your soul is bringing you to.
Exactly.
And when is the perfect time to start? Now. Make changes to your life in this very moment, just even with where you're thinking in the current moment. What are you telling yourself? Take small steps every day. As the saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So transformation doesn't wait just till January 1st. It starts now. So if you're listening to this after January 1st, remember that you can still create that transformation. It's not just the strike that hits midnight and you mess up. It's okay.
There's a lot of compassion in your journey. Remember, there's so much compassion in your journey, so there's really no mistakes. There's just learning. Okay. Just remember that. Like, there's so many times that I think, oh, I'm on the top of the mountain, and then I start rolling down. So just remember, there's compassion. You pick yourself back up. You learn from it. I was like, yeah, I won't be stepping in that direction again. And that's where, like we said, our journals, like self-reflection of the day. I have a self-reflection of your day, and it's pretty amazing where it's rewiring your brain. But with that said, have compassion in your journey. Stop the self-criticism, because honestly, all it does is just, it starts going into, now I'm going to judge myself. Now I just really believe it's not possible. It goes in this like hamster wheel. So say absolutely no, 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 no. Like, I have compassion, but really, truly, am I expecting to go through my entire life in perfect action and steps and never have failure or mistakes? I mean, give me a break every single day. Give myself a break. I say, because it's like, stop tripping. It can be like really beautiful and compassionate, like, oh my goodness, that was a situation, and I really probably don't want to experience that again. So let's kind of self-reflect on that and how we do it differently, because I just want to keep on evolving into the best version of myself. And so, Ashlyn, everything that we create, everything we do is like, know thyself, love thyself, and become the best version of thyself. And that's what this letter starts. Bring this whole in together is write that beautiful letter to yourself, a loving, compassionate letter, and go within that deep insight of all knowing that every single thing that your heart's desire, if you desire it, it is done. It is done. And there's different ways that we're going to show you and talk about in manifesting skills that make it so easy. It's not complicated, but we want to have things in our head think that it's going to be complicated and you need to do this whole rituals all day long and then you're going to manifest. It's not that way. We've learned it's much more easy. Just be yourself. Go within. Ash, it's just that all knowing that it's already done and it's within, and you're tapping into your soul spirit every single day as much as you possibly can, and it becomes more and more your natural state. And remember, there's the yin to the yang. You might have all these big, beautiful fruit, this fruit tree that's growing outside of your tree. Down in your root system, you might have things, your old beliefs, and it's okay. I would like to say, I used to have this thing of thinking I'd go a week or not having to go into that. But if you're really, truly aware, you find that your ego and stuff shows up every single day. And it's okay. There's compassion and love in that too, like not trying to deny that. So in your writing, just have this all knowing. That's probably the biggest message, Ash. Let's like going in What does your spirit want to experience? Like it's here. It's like, woohoo, I'm in this body form. And it can do magnificent, humongous things. I mean, we're only using like 0.0013% of like our capacity. Let's tap into like at least 1% or 2%.
Just get there.
Yeah.
We hope that in today's episode has inspired you to approach 2025 with just more clarity and love and intention. And remember, transformation is not perfection, like you mentioned. It's not about that destination or getting to that perfect place. It's not. It's usually a little bit messy. There's, like you said, you fall off the hill every once in a while and you just get back up, dust yourself off, and you're like, you know what? At least I'm not all the way on the bottom. I'm halfway on the hill.
Yes.
Marching up the hill.
Well, and we want to hear everybody just drop down below one thing that you know, no matter what's your intention.
You want for your
we
future.
would love to hear. We would love to hear. And even if something you've experienced, like great advice for obtaining your intentions.
Oh, yeah. We always love that.
Yeah.
And don't forget, like you said, to write that letter for that future. It's a beautiful way to get that clarity and intention set up. And stay grounded for self-love, because I'm all about self-love. Yeah. And track your progress as you move into the new year. And sometimes too, maybe if you need to open that letter halfway through the year just to remind yourself of what those intentions, goals, where you're really at, you can go ahead and keep going. Maybe write yourself. There's always
the time. Yeah, don't wait for the new year. That's where so many people will take, it's October, I'm getting into the Halloween candy, then it's Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they feel like, wow, it's the New Year's resolution of once again 20 pounds, or I've been sick for 3 months because of all the sugar overload and all that different things. Instead, start where you're at. Like even like Ashlyn said, it's June, July, wherever you're at, start now. I have several clients actually come on with me around October because they want me to be that person that's helping them walk through the holidays. And then the following year when they walk through the holidays, they're like, oh, okay, well, I already have proven to myself that it was easy and effortlessly done because I've done it before. It really wasn't that big of a deal. It is freaking the story we tell ourselves. Be aware of the story you're telling yourself, because
remember
that's the path you'll walk on.
The woods is just a bunny, everybody. It's just a bunny.
It is. You're safe and you're freaking a rock star.
Yes. And here's to making 2025 about love, growth, and transformation. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Now That's Love. And I would also want to add that this is a wrap. I wish I had like confetti go. This is a wrap for season 1. So we're going to be coming back to you guys with season 2. We're hopping into 2025 with y'all, and we are going to write our intentions on what we want to bring to y'all. What is that fire that's driving in us to be able to enlighten your guys' lives? And I honestly cannot wait for what we have for 2025 for us in season 2. Here we come. I'm ready. Until next time, we love you, lovies.
Much love. Bye.